Right this very second. An invisible algorithm is reading a patient's MRI.
Hmm.
Another one is like quietly rewriting the difficulty of a video game you might be playing. And a third is sparking an urgent international debate over the future of warfare.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It really is. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a curated stack of research on the absolute latest developments in artificial intelligence.
Right.
And the mission today is to figure out how these underlying mechanisms are actively dictating the realities of your daily life. Because this affects you, the listener, right now. So, okay, let's unpack this.
And I think the best way to approach this is to completely strip away the science fiction.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't need to talk about, sentient robots or some distant dystopian future.
Yeah.
Because the very grounded reality of what is happening right now is far more compelling.
Right. The stuff that's already here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Today is really about the why and the how. We need to look under the hood of these systems. How are these specific advancements in machine learning actually functioning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how are they fundamentally rewriting the rules of medicine, media, and even human rights?
Well, let's start with the human body, because that's where I think a lot of people feel this most personally.
Definitely.
The fundamental shift happening in healthcare right now is this massive move from reactive medicine to hyper-predictive personalized care.
Right.
Like, we are entirely used to a system where you wait until a symptom appears. Right.
Yeah.
Go to a clinic and a doctor tries to reverse engineer what went wrong based on, well, how you feel.
Yeah, treating the effect rather than the cause, in a way.
Exactly. But machine learning is flipping that timeline entirely. These algorithms are analyzing incredibly complex sets of medical data to improve diagnostic accuracy before you even know you are sick.
So to understand the mechanics of that shift, you really have to look at the sheer volume of data processing involved here.
Okay.
Because historically, a doctor relies on their training, their past clinical experience, and the specific visible symptoms you present in a short appointment.
Right, like a 15-minute visit.
Yeah, and they are doing incredible work, but they are limited by human cognitive bandwidth. I mean, we all are.
Yeah, there's only so much info a person can hold in their head.
Exactly. An AI system, on the other hand, it evaluates your vital signs, your blood work, and your genetic markers.
All at once?
All at once, and in the context of millions of other patient outcomes simultaneously. It cross-references these vast, multi-dimensional data sets to identify correlations that a human could never hold in their working memory.
And the most visceral example of this, at least from the research we've got here, is what's happening with medical imaging.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
We are talking about X-rays and MRIs, where AI is detecting anomalies with a precision that literally surpasses the biological limits of the human eye.
Yeah.
Like, it is catching microscopic irregularities that even a highly trained radiologist might just, scroll right past.
And what's fascinating here is the mechanism behind that visual analysis. Catching an anomaly that humans miss isn't just about the machine having, better eyesight or a sharper monitor.
Right.
It is entirely about pattern recognition on a non-visual scale.
Wait, what do you mean non-visual? It's looking at an image, right?
Well, a human radiologist looks at an MRI and searches for a known shape, right? A shadow, a mass, some physical irregularity that indicates a tumor.
Okay, yeah.
The AI isn't looking for a shadow. It analyzes the mathematical relationship between microscopic pixel variations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it compares the exact digital signature, like the gradient of grays, against millions of other scans. So it can recognize a localized pattern of pixel density that reliably precedes a tumor.
So it's identifying the mathematical footprint of a disease.
Exactly. Months before it physically resembles a mass to a human observer.
Which is an absolute game changer for early intervention. I mean, it's staggering. But here's where it gets really interesting. The technology takes us from the radiology lab directly into the pharmacy.
Yes, it does.
Because AI is now playing a pivotal role in drug discovery. And, the way I'm picturing this is like having 1 million digital test subjects.
That is a phenomenal way to conceptualize it, actually.
Really? Because, the traditional model of drug discovery is just incredibly agonizing.
It's extremely slow.
Right. You formulate a chemical compound, you test it in a petri dish, then you move to animal trials, then human trials. It takes years, sometimes decades.
Yeah, the timeline is brutal.
You are entirely bound by the physical passage of time. You just have to wait to see how a chemical physically interacts with the biological system, and if it fails in year 5, well, you start over.
But an AI simulating drug discovery removes the physical constraints of time and biology.
Right.
The AI creates a highly complex atomic-level simulation of human cellular biology. It then introduces the digital equivalent of a newly synthesized chemical compound.
Like dropping a digital pill into a digital cell.
Exactly. So instead of mixing liquids in a lab and waiting, it calculates the physical laws of molecular binding. It
Wow.
can run hundreds of thousands of variations of a drug molecule in a single afternoon. It predicts potential side effects, calculates toxicity, and determines efficacy, all based on simulated molecular interactions.
So instead of a decade of trial and error, the AI instantly weeds out the thousands of chemical compounds that won't work and basically just hands the scientists the 3 or 4 that likely will.
Right.
The economic ripple effect of that is just staggering. By drastically reducing the time it takes to bring new medications to market, you are circumventing billions of dollars in dead-end research and development costs.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of global health, that reduction in cost changes everything.
How so?
Well, speeding up innovation doesn't just mean higher profits for pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
It means the barrier to entry for developing new treatments plummets.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, when you cut out a decade of wasted physical trials, you potentially make healthcare fundamentally more accessible.
Because it's cheaper to invent the drugs in the first place.
Exactly. You open the door for affordable treatments for rare diseases that previously didn't offer, like a high enough return on investment to justify the traditional expensive research phase.
It fundamentally reshapes the economics of keeping humans alive.
It really does.
So we've established that AI can map and simulate the physical biology of a human cell. But what happens when you turn that exact same predictive power away from our biology and point it directly at our psychology?
Right, the shift to media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the algorithms aren't just revolutionizing medicine, they are actively hacking human leisure.
The transition in the underlying technology here is remarkably straightforward, actually. The predictive engine simply swaps out biological telemetry for behavioral telemetry.
And you see this constantly with streaming platforms, right?
All the time.
They use incredibly sophisticated recommendation algorithms. Like you watch a couple of intense political thrillers and boom, your homepage rearranges itself to offer you a personalized slate of documentaries and spy movies.
But it is vital to understand how that actually works. Because it isn't just looking at the genre tags of the movies you watched.
It's not.
No. The algorithm utilizes something called collaborative filtering.
Okay.
It maps your viewing habits, like when you pause, what you skip, what you decide to binge at 2 in the morning.
Oh, so it's judging my late night viewing choices. Good to know.
Exactly. And it groups you into a behavioral cluster with hundreds of thousands of other users who share those exact same micro habits.
Wow.
It predicts what you want to watch next, not by understanding the movie itself, but by understanding that 85% of your lookalike audience clicked on a specific thumbnail.
That is wild. But the research shows AI is venturing far beyond just curating our options. We are seeing a massive transition into actual content creation.
Yes, we are.
Like AI systems are generating original music compositions, they are writing entire movie scripts, and they are doing it by analyzing the mathematical structures of what humans find entertaining.
And this is a critical leap. We're moving from curation to creation.
Right.
Curation relies on a machine looking at a library of existing art and guessing what you have the appetite for. Creation, though, means the machine understands the underlying mechanics of pacing, tension, and harmony well enough to generate the art itself.
And nowhere is that leap more immersive than in video game design.
Oh, absolutely.
Developers are integrating AI to create these wildly adaptive gaming experiences. The systems don't just load a preset level anymore.
No.
They actively tailor the challenges to a player's real-time skill level. It's like having a digital dungeon master that literally reads your mind.
And that dungeon master is fueled by what we call reinforcement learning.
Right. So if you are struggling to beat a specific encounter, dying over and over, the game measures your reaction times and your pathing.
It's watching you fail.
Yeah. And the digital dungeon master discreetly throws you a lifeline. It subtly lowers the enemy's accuracy or, like, drops a health potion just out of sight.
It adjusts to keep you engaged.
Exactly. Conversely, if you are an expert player blasting through the level, the game's telemetry registers a lack of engagement. It realizes you aren't feeling challenged, so it dynamically alters the environment.
It flanks you with smarter enemies.
Yeah. Or it triggers a surprise ambush to spike your adrenaline and pull you back into that state of flow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are witnessing is the dismantling of traditional media consumption.
Okay, unpack that.
Well, for an entire century, media has been a static broadcast experience. Everyone who sits in a movie theater watches the exact same sequence of frames.
Right.
Everyone who listens to a vinyl record hears the exact same acoustic frequencies.
Yeah, it doesn't change based on who's listening.
Exactly.
Okay.
But AI is turning entertainment into a dynamic bilateral relationship. The game, the music, the narrative structure, it physically and mathematically adapts to the consumer in real time.
Wow.
The media learns your psychological thresholds, just as you learn the media.
It is an incredibly captivating concept, but it also forces a much heavier conversation, I think.
It does.
We've established that AI is making highly complex predictive choices for us. It's deciding which microscopic pixel gradients matter on an MRI, and it's deciding what customized storyline will trigger the optimal dopamine hit in your living room. But predictive models are relatively low stakes when we are talking about a video game. What happens when these algorithms are deployed in high-stakes arenas where human livelihoods, civil liberties, or actual lives are on the line?
Yeah, this brings us squarely into the realm of ethics and governance, which is rapidly becoming the most urgent area of focus for technologists and policymakers worldwide.
I can imagine.
When you scale up these predictive systems, the margin for error just completely disappears.
And the loudest concern surrounding this right now is the potential for bias in AI algorithms, right? Specifically, how that bias leads to tangible discrimination in hiring practices and law enforcement.
Yes.
And I have to push back here for a second, or at least play devil's advocate, because I hear this discussed a lot, and the fundamental premise can be confusing for a lot of people.
Okay, let's hear it.
Wait, how could machine be biased? We are talking about compiled code. Isn't math supposed to be completely objective? 1 plus 1 is 2. How does an algorithm suddenly become prejudiced?
That is probably the single most important question you can ask about this technology.
Really?
Yes, you are absolutely correct that the math itself is objective. The algorithm is just a formula optimizing for a specific outcome.
Right.
But an algorithm does not pop into existence with an innate understanding of the world. It has to learn how to make decisions.
Okay.
And it learns by processing massive historical data sets. And where does that data come from?
I mean, from us, right?
It comes from decades of human behavior.
Ah. And human behavior is inherently biased.
Exactly that. Let's look at the mechanics of algorithmic hiring as an example.
Okay.
A major corporation wants an AI tool to screen resumes, so they train a neural network on 10 years of their own past hiring data.
Makes sense. They want to see what worked before.
Right. They tell the AI, look at the people we hired who are successful and find us more people like that. But if the human hiring managers over the last decade possessed a subconscious bias,
Oh, I see where this is going.
if they consistently favored candidates from specific zip codes or specific universities or subtly overlooked certain demographics, the AI doesn't recognize that as a human flaw.
It just sees a mathematical pattern.
It sees a success metric.
Mm.
The AI mathematically codes that historical bias into its filtering process.
That is terrifying.
It assumes that because certain types of people were rejected in the past, they should be automatically rejected in the future. It bakes our subjective human prejudice into a rigid mathematical formula.
Wow.
And the exact same feedback loop occurs in predictive policing.
Right. So if historical policing data is skewed because patrol cars were disproportionately sent to specific neighborhoods, the data will naturally show more arrests in those neighborhoods.
And when you feed that data into an AI tool designed to predict future crime, the algorithm will relentlessly target those same neighborhoods.
Because that's where it thinks the crime is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It tells the police department to send more cars, which leads to more arrests, which feeds more skewed data back into the algorithm.
Yeah.
It is an objective mathematical system that objectively amplifies systemic inequalities.
Which is why there is such a desperate push right now for frameworks that demand algorithmic transparency. Organizations need to be able to look under the hood, audit the training data, and actively intervene to ensure fairness.
They have to.
But as complex as hiring algorithms are, the stakes jump exponentially when we move on to the global stage.
The scale of consequence shifts from individual civil liberties to international security.
Yeah. We are seeing an intense, growing conversation driven by defense experts regarding the ethical implications of AI and autonomous weapons and mass surveillance.
Right.
We were talking about military applications where machine learning models could potentially make lethal targeting decisions.
And this raises an important question regarding the logistics of oversight.
How so?
We have a historical framework for regulating weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah. Treaties and inspectors.
Exactly. International inspectors can visit a facility,
Right.
count the number of uranium centrifuges, and verify compliance with a treaty. You can photograph a physical weapon,
Right.
but how do you inspect an algorithm? How do you verify that the software installed on a fleet of autonomous drones doesn't contain a subroutine that allows it to independently choose a target without human authorization?
You can't just count lines of code from a satellite.
No, you can't.
And the speed at which these systems operate is terrifying. We've seen flash crashes in the stock market where trading algorithms interact with each other and trigger a massive sell-off in milliseconds,
Yeah.
far faster than a human broker could intervene. If a flash crash happens on a battlefield with autonomous weapons, you don't lose money. You trigger a conflict before a human commander even realizes what is happening.
Which is why the absolute priority for global security experts is establishing strict mandates for human-in-the-loop systems.
Meaning a human always has to pull the trigger, essentially.
A human must always make the final lethal decision. The push for international agreements isn't just bureaucratic red tape. It is an urgent acknowledgement that this technology processes information and executes decisions at a speed that surpasses human reaction time.
Wow.
Deployed without universally agreed-upon safety nets, the potential for catastrophic, unintended consequences is entirely unprecedented.
So what does this all mean for us? If we synthesize this whole journey we've been on today, we started by looking at how AI evaluates the microtextures of an MRI to predict illness, and how it simulates molecular physics to revolutionize the economics of drug discovery. We saw that same predictive capability pivot toward human behavior, right?
Into our living rooms.
Fundamentally changing entertainment from a static broadcast into a dynamic, adaptive experience that responds to our inputs in real time.
Exactly.
And finally, we confronted the reality that these algorithms are built on deeply flawed human data, leading to a critical need for transparency in everything from local hiring practices to international military treaties.
It is a profound spectrum of influence. We are watching the foundational infrastructure of society being rewritten in real time.
And the goal of this deep dive is to ensure that you, the listener, are equipped to actually see the invisible threads of AI moving forward.
That's the hope.
The next time you are sitting in a doctor's office waiting on a diagnosis, or the next time you are in the middle of a streaming binge and marveling at how perfectly tailored the recommendations are.
Or when you read the latest geopolitical news about defense spending.
Exactly. You don't just see the surface result anymore. You understand the underlying mechanisms at play.
And before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that connects these different spheres we've explored today.
Okay, let's hear it.
We discussed how AI systems in gaming and media are constantly adapting to our personal skill levels, tracking our habits, our struggles, and our preferences to create a perfectly tailored digital environment. At the same time, we know these systems are actively being deployed to make initial judgments in real-world, high-stakes areas like hiring, credit approvals, and law enforcement based on historical behavioral data.
Okay.
So consider this. At what point does our heavily tracked, personalized digital profile begin to seamlessly dictate our real-world opportunities?
Oh, wow.
What happens if an algorithm, operating invisibly across different platforms, decides your overall skill level for life, filtering your opportunities before a human ever gets the chance to review your resume?
Wow. That is going to keep me up tonight.
It's a lot to think about.
The idea as a universal algorithm quietly managing the difficulty setting of my actual life is a brilliant and, frankly, slightly terrifying concept to end on. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
The landscape of this technology is wildly complex, but as long as we keep looking under the hood and challenging the mechanics of how it all works, we can stay ahead of the curve. Keep questioning the algorithms, stay curious, and we will see you next time.